The film opens in a quiet coastal neighborhood near Seattle. We meet Jason, an unemployed engineer who is just finishing up a fishing trip. As a dark, ominous storm cloud begins moving in, he wisely decides to head home before the weather worsens. The local forecast predicts nothing more than heavy rain and possible coastal flooding. And everyone in the neighborhood goes about their day as usual, completely unaware of the nightmare that is about to unfold. Back at the house, Jason wakes his family with a sweet surprise: donuts for breakfast. As they gather around the table, his wife Anne quickly reminds him not to feed their dog Cassidy, because the pup has just taken his heart medication. While they eat, their son Graham complains that the streaming service has stopped working. Jason playfully jokes that it's probably just because their house is getting old. Anne casually mentions she is ready to move whenever he is, but Jason insists they are all set after buying a couple of lottery tickets. Feeling bad, Anne apologizes, assuring him the burden isn't all on him. She then brings up that a repair guy is coming the next day to check the cracks in their chimney, according to him. The chimney is probably the only thing holding the entire house together, because the foundation is so weak. Suddenly, the kids beg Jason to take them out to buy a Christmas tree. Despite the pouring rain outside, Jason is reluctant at first, but Graham reminds him of a promise he made, and Jason eventually agrees. However, as the family gets ready to leave, they make a chilling discovery. None of the doors or windows will open. At first, they assume it's just a bizarre prank. But when they realize the Wi-Fi and cell service are also completely down, panic begins to set in. Jason throws his entire weight against the front door, only to be violently thrown backward by a mysterious force. Grabbing a long metal bar, he smashes one of the windows, revealing a strange, shimmering rain-like barrier covering the house. It becomes instantly clear they are completely trapped inside. Looking out, they soon discover the entire neighborhood is trapped in the exact same way. They spot their neighbor, Susan, returning from her morning run, and desperately begged her to get help. She promises to come back with assistance. As more neighbors appear at their own windows, everyone begins communicating through handwritten signs pressed against the glass, frantically trying to figure out what is happening. Some believe it's a government experiment, while others suspect aliens, but no one has any real answers. Trying to keep the kids calm, Jason and Anne pass the time by pointing out their neighbors, the Richardsons across the street. Susan's husband Greg, a woman with a dog, and the doofus with a boat name seize the day. That night, Jason reassures his family that they are safe and have everything they need. After the kids are tucked into bed, Anne admits she is struggling to stay calm and worries deeply about her parents. Jason comforts her, then drops a bombshell. He secretly bought a gun after having recurring nightmares that something bad was coming. Anne is incredibly upset that he kept a weapon secret, especially with kids in the house. But she eventually asks him to teach her how to use it before he puts it away. Jason tries absolutely everything he can to break through the barrier, but nothing works. When Anne checks on him, he explains that the strange rain-like barrier has completely sealed the house. However, after confirming that fresh air is still getting inside, they realize suffocation isn't a concern. Anne believes they just need to wait for the rain to stop. But Jason points out that the barrier doesn't appear to be man-made. Anne simply tells him to cover the openings so the kids won't see them. The next morning, the rain has finally stopped. Hoping the barrier is gone, they check the front door, but it still won't open. Surprisingly, Graham and his sister Ruth remain incredibly calm, trusting that their parents will figure everything out. As the family settles into a strange new routine, Anne sets rules to keep life as normal as possible. Jason begins rationing their food and reminds everyone to strictly conserve water, electricity, and gas. He reassures the kids the situation is temporary and promises to keep them safe. Jason tries homeschooling the kids, but they quickly lose interest. He pivots the lesson, teaching them how to gut a fish using Ruth's stuffed animals. Revealing to the kids that he once owned a fishing boat before selling it to support the family. When Anne catches the kids using knives for the lesson, she scolds Jason, though he assures her they're being careful. A week later, while cutting a tomato, Anne stops Jason from throwing away the seeds. She decides to dry them so they can plant them later. Through handwritten signs, Jason talks with Max, a retired dentist, and learns the strange phenomenon has spread about 5 blocks. Max admits he is already running dangerously low on food. Over the next few weeks, the family adapts. They keep busy by dancing, watching movies, exercising, and spending time together. Anne continues learning how to grow food, and Jason handles house chores. As Christmas arrives, they put up a tree and watch their neighbors celebrate through their windows. That night in the attic, Ruth tells Graham she thinks a mysterious rainwalker has returned. But Graham brushes it off as an animal. With food running low, the kids complain about a meal and refuse to eat. Jason simply takes the food and eats it himself. Ruth insists she saw someone outside. Anne dismisses it as imagination. But when Ruth insists it was the rainwalker, Jason loses his temper, shouting that everyone is trapped. He quickly apologizes for raising his voice. And Anne surprises the family with homemade cookies made without real sugar. Later that night, the parents quietly worry about the kids, reassuring each other they're doing their best as they share a quiet moment. Smoking the last joint found in a drawer. Before watching an old DVD, Jason admits that being trapped with his family has strangely made him happier. He then spots a fox outside and quietly wishes it good luck. The next morning, the family exchanges simple Christmas gifts before the kids surprise Anne with the first tomato grown from her saved seeds, bringing her to tears. But the joy is short-lived. Ruth spots Mrs. Richardson outside, trying to get their attention. Before they can react, Mrs. Richardson suddenly collapses and dies. Later that night, Ruth wakes up to play with her doll when she hears a high-pitched sound. She spots Susan outside, prompting the family to rush over. Susan begs for help, revealing that everyone outside is dead. Hearing something nearby, Susan tells them to hide. An invisible force suddenly grabs her and drags her away as she screams, followed by a bright flash of light as she disappears. Jason sets strict new rules. Stay away from the windows when it rains, and keep the curtains closed. The next day, Jason starts a PE class. While Graham runs laps around the house, Ruth practices aerial silks. Suddenly, the chimney cap comes loose, revealing a narrow opening. Since Ruth is small enough, they use the aerial silk to pull her up. She reaches through, but only her hand fits outside before she climbs back down. Soon after, Cassidy the dog begins whimpering as his medication wears off. Realizing nothing can be done, Jason asks Anne to take the kids to the den before he puts the dog down. Anne suggests cremating Cassidy in the fireplace, but Jason makes a dark suggestion. Store Cassidy's meat in the freezer in case they become desperate for food. Horrified, Anne tells him to handle it without telling her the details. Jason stores the meat and throws the remains through the chimney for the fox. But when the rain returns, the fox runs away. The family closes the curtains and waits quietly. Despite warnings, Ruth goes to the window for her plant. Terrifying creatures suddenly growl outside, forcing everyone to stay dead silent until they leave. Frightened, Ruth runs to her parents for comfort. 3 months pass. Ruth complains of hunger, so Jason gives her his portion. But she wants more. She runs to the fridge, but Anne blocks her. Jason says to let her see, and Ruth finds the fridge and cupboards completely empty. Heartbroken, she cries upstairs. Weak from hunger, Anne collapses, believing all hope is lost. Just then, Graham brings the aquarium fish and asks them to cook it, giving in a glimmer of hope. Jason realizes the dog meat left outside has attracted animals, so he sets traps. After many failures, he finally catches a squirrel, giving them their first decent meal in ages. Wanting a permanent solution, they turn part of the floor into a garden, make fertilizer, and set automatic traps. While neighbors outside starve, the family stays together. 5 years later, the electricity is finally gone. Graham and Ruth are fully grown. The neighborhood is silent, most neighbors gone. Jason hunts wild animals daily. As Anne cuts Jason's hair, she notes Graham is growing frustrated. Jason improves his traps so caught animals are pulled inside automatically. The endless rain causes the house to slowly sink. Jason shows the family he repaired their old car, but Graham calls it pointless since they can't leave. Jason argues the rain could stop someday, ending in an argument. Anne tells Jason he is too focused on survival and missing the kids growing up. Jason realizes she's right. Soon, another storm rolls in. The front door mysteriously opens, and a creature forces its way inside. Everyone hides. The freezing cold from its body instantly kills Anne's plants. She asks for the gun, but the creature hears something outside and leaves. Graham urges them to run, but Jason stops him as the door slams shut on its own. Ruth notices the water left behind is seawater. She theorizes the creatures are leviathans, krakens, or mermaid-sentient sea creatures, not aliens, which explains their control over water. Jason disagrees, stating the house is still their home. The salt water ruins the garden and drinking water. Anne says they'll starve, but Jason argues they can collect dew. Anne snaps, saying they will die if they don't find a way out. Meanwhile, an automatic trap catches a ferret. Ruth checks it, but the frightened animal bites her. The wound infects, causing a high fever. They have no antibiotics. Desperate, Jason repeatedly slams the car into the garage door, but fails, ending up badly injured. However, the shifting ground reveals cracks leading to underground sewer pipes connecting to the Richardsons' house. Jason realizes Max, the dentist, might have antibiotics. The pipe is too small for Jason, so Anne volunteers. She crawls through, finds Mrs. Richardson's decomposed body, and locates antibiotics and water in the basement. Just then, rain falls. Jason sees Anne through the window, but a creature is already inside their house. Anne sneaks past it and enters the pipe, but the creature spots her at the last moment. Anne fires her pistol, and Jason uses the aerial silk to pull her inside, blocking the hole with heavy rocks. Anne gives Ruth the medicine, and she slowly improves. Jason tells Anne to take the kids to the attic so he can face the creature alone. Anne refuses. They are a family. Graham declares they are done hiding. If the creatures can get in, they can get out. They will fight back. The family builds a trap. Graham tracks, Ruth casts the line, Anne lures, and Jason sets the hook. The rain comes, and water rushes into the house. The creature arrives. Anne throws a bomb, setting it on fire. Jason throws a harpoon, but misses. He tries again and hits it, but the beast keeps chasing them. As water rises, they move upstairs. Graham grabs the missed harpoon but is attacked. Family pulls him to safety and retreats to the attic. When the creature reaches them, Jason drives the harpoon deep into it. The trap restrains the beast, and the force creates cracks in the house, draining the water. They try the door, but it won't budge. Jason tells the creature to open it, but Anne warns the house is falling apart. Jason suddenly realizes the creature isn't trying to hurt them. He cuts the restraints. The creature opens the door. Outside, they are surrounded by other creatures. The captured creature communicates with them, and they peacefully move away. The family finds a boat, gathers their essentials, and sets out to sea to find out if anyone else is still alive. If you enjoyed this intense survival recap, make sure to smash like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments down below, what would you do if you were trapped in your house for 5 years? See you in the next video.